don't really like to talk about failure, right? It's more, let's get on to the success and let's not talk about the failure. But your phrase, pain plus reflection equals progress, is kind of at the core of that. And could you just dive into that a little bit more?
I think a lot of life is that the second order consequences are the opposite of the first order consequences. In other words, the things that you like, maybe the food you like to eat, the exercise that you don't like to do, all of that. This is one of the great tricks of life, that the second order consequences are very, very beneficial. And life is sort of tricking you, that it says, okay, which ones of those are you going to operate by, okay? And so failure, for example, I don't want to talk about failure. I don't want to talk about weakness. I'm saying go to the pain. And before you know it, the pain becomes pleasure, because my whole mentality starts to change. I realize that if I have pain, I start to view it as a puzzle. And I view that if I can solve that puzzle, which means what would I do differently next time, I will get a gem. And that gem is a principle of what to do next time to learn. So I've developed a habit that I actually have the second order consequence reaction to the pain, to the failure, that makes me know it's a learning experience. And so it's that dynamic in life. Don't be tricked by the first order consequences and really enjoy those second order consequences. Go to the pain and view it as a puzzle, and then you'll get gems.
Yeah, I should just say that the first time that Ray did this with me, I think you were in Connecticut and I was driving down a dirt road in Brazil, in which you talked to me about radical transparency and what you would just learn from somebody that was counter to what I've been telling you. And I didn't get pleasure out of that. It took me a while to actually understand that listening with an open mind, not actually thinking about your response while you're being taught, is actually the way you get to the place where you can learn.
Both parties, that's a thoughtful disagreement. When you're totally honest, radical forthrightness, and you know you don't know the answer, but it becomes a common question as how you can work through with good intention. It's the idea of tough love, you know? We're going to hold each other to high standards and try to get at the right answer together, but it's going to be tough.
So now that you have put into your extraordinary company, which is one of the most influential in the United States, the concept of radical transparency, and this is something you've developed over decades. And I guess the question I have is, when new people come into the company, what's their reaction? Is their reaction, this is dangerous? Is their reaction, this is different, I love this? Or do you weed those people out in the interviewing process? How do you do that?
Well, we show them, because we record everything, we could show them lots of instances. We make them aware, and it's sort of like an intellectual Navy SEALs. Okay, do you want this thing? And everybody's going, okay, I want that thing. So they make a choice. Maybe some people don't. And then they come in, but like the intellectual Navy SEAls, they say, yeah, I really want this thing. Then when they get in the icy water and they don't get to sleep, it's the equivalent of then they go into that experience. And then they're wrestling with each other, and then they come to love it. But the thing about it is the meaningful work and the meaningful relationships. In other words, maybe like the Navy SEAls or when you are tight with somebody and you have that genuine caring, that they know that that's part of it. We have, I think we have 1,500 people. I think that there are like 104 clubs and organizations. I made a policy that anybody who can come up with anything that's fun to do, that can have 20 or more people, up to $500 per person, we'll pay for half. In other words, just go out and build those relationships. If you've got those great relationships and you know that they're being tough on you for those good reasons to try to get at the answer, and you know where your goal is, then they come to love it.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now, let's continue.
most people, there's a period of time, maybe it's about 18 months, which is associated with behavior modification. People then say, okay, I've got that. Past that period of time, people don't want to work elsewhere because it's very difficult for them to go in an organization where it's all behind the scenes, it's phony. And
so if we have hundreds of entrepreneurs in front of us that are now starting their businesses, or recently they've launched their business, and they love this idea and they want to embrace it, do you suggest to them that they go all in, or do you suggest they test it with a small leadership team? How do you actually see whether this is going to work in your place?
Well, test it. You have to define how you're going to be with each other, and you'll live it out. So the question is, can we be radically truthful and radically transparent with each other?
Well, the answer is we have been.
But I'm saying
I know that. I'm just...
with their partnership. So they're going to have to deal with that question.
Yep.
So as they're going through that, they should experiment with it. The reason I put out the books is at very nitty-gritty level. You can look at the questions and then experiment with it. If you know your vision of where you want to go, like that, do you want to have an idea meritocracy? It's the goal level. Once you've got the goal level, then experiment. So is it the top circle? Like a number of companies, I won't drop names, but big companies right now, interesting cutting edge companies, the top 10 people in the company, because there's usually most companies or organizations, maybe there's a group, top 10, then they'll experiment. Do they want to be that way with each other? They start to experiment with it. Do you want to broaden it? And they have to find what's right for them.
Yeah, and I just want to tell you that I find it to be absolutely extraordinarily open-minded, clear, and wise. And so to start with, again, I just want to thank you for that clarity. But what's interesting also is that, as you and I have spoken, we got to go through an arc in our life, right? And you are in that spot in your life where you are thinking, how do I share these principles with the rest of the world?
I just want others to pass it along and others take it from so they find it.
But why? Why have you reached this place?
I think it's very natural. I mean, I think you experience it. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is how the priorities change in various stages of life. And I think that as you get to be a certain age, it's like a parent with their kids. What do you want? At one age, you want to help guide them. At another age, when you're a certain age and they're a certain age, you want them to be successful without you, right? You want to pass that along, and you feel that kind of responsibility. And then you relieve yourself of that responsibility by doing that passing along. And so I'm going to pass it along, I'm going to pass the tools along, I'm going to give that out, and then I'm going to disappear. In other words, you're not going to see me. There's the public thing I don't like too much. And
how much time do you have left before you disappear?
Probably a year for the tools and so on, something like that. And it's a stage of life thing. Joseph Campbell wrote a book. There's a wonderful book, Hero of a Thousand Faces, and he goes through the life arc. And it's so good for you all to almost think, where are you in your life arc? And what does that arc look like? And what will you encounter? Because you actually don't pay much attention to it. So it's a life arc thing.
So in your place, in your arc, you have, one, you're giving this gift to the world. And it's not just, here's some principles, read a book, but you are actually on the road talking to people to try to educate them as to why radical transparency and relationships are totally essential for effectiveness.
Which feels for me like almost relieving myself of it.
Yeah. And you also have other passions.
Yeah.
And what you and I have spoken about a bit is your passions for ocean, for exploration, for communication. And I know that you think everyone needs to pursue their own passion, which I respect entirely. Tell us why this is your passion.
Well, I've been deep in the ocean and I've explored, and it's thrilling and it's also important. So the way I look at it is, if you look at the ocean level, it's about the world above the ocean is about half the size as the world below the ocean. The biggest peak is equal to the deepest trough. It's almost symmetrical. but it counts for 72% of the world's surface. And so that means 2/3 of the world is under the ocean. And nobody has really explored it hardly at all. And so if you love exploration, it's like, it's better than going to another planet. If you want to see aliens, you're going under the ocean. You're not going to see them up there. And so first of all, it's thrilling, and then it's important, because the ocean is our greatest asset. I won't go into all the reasons why, because we're going to run out of time, but it is our biggest and greatest asset, and it's not appreciated. It's so important in terms of the whole climate issue. It's so important in so many different ways that we could get into. So I think it's very impactful. I'm excited about impact. My goal in life is pretty much to evolve well and fast and contribute to evolution. And so that's my way that I'm excited about doing it, and I'm feeling that I'm having an impact. So we're going to, I have a ship that has subs that go down to 1,000 meters that scientists use, and we know media, most of Blue Planet 2 was shot on it. We discovered giant squid, that kind of thing. We're doing another one, and we're going to do an initiative where we're going to have, like Jacques Cousteau, a series. I'm doing that with James Cameron, that we're going to have a series that people are watching, and a lot of social media, so that there's that engagement, so people could not only explore, but they can be there virtually with other explorers, so that they love it. You got to love it first, and that's why I'm excited about it.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members, where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active, and see you on the other side.